They say love is blind, and I was living proof. I thought Jorge was my soulmate, the one I could share my deepest secrets with, the one who made me feel seen and heard. We lived in a rapidly changing neighborhood in Brooklyn, surrounded by trendy cafes and renovated brownstones. It was the perfect backdrop for our perfect life together. I remember the day we moved in. Jorge took my hand and said, "This is it. This is our forever home." I believed him. I wanted to believe him. We spent countless nights curled up on our couch, planning our dream wedding, and I thought I knew him better than anyone. But looking back, I realize I ignored the red flags. He got defensive whenever I asked about his day, brushing it off as work stuff. He started comparing me unfavorably to other women, making snide comments about my cooking or my outfits. And then there was his newfound secrecy about his finances. I wrote it off as him being responsible, but deep down, I knew something was off. It started when I began making more money than him. I thought it would bring us closer together. But instead, I noticed a subtle shift in his behavior. He became distant, preoccupied. I would ask him what was wrong, and he'd just shrug it off, telling me I was being paranoid. The final straw was when he called me by the wrong name in his sleep. It was a careless mistake, but it sent a shiver down my spine. I tried to brush it off as a slip of the tongue, but the seed of doubt had been planted. That night, I could not shake off the feeling that something was wrong. I started snooping through his things, and that's when I found it. A plane ticket for a trip he said was canceled. My heart sank as I realized he'd been lying to me for months. My mind racing. I confronted him. "Jorge, what's going on? Why do you have a plane ticket for a trip you said was canceled?" He just laughed it off, telling me I was being overly suspicious. But I knew what I saw. It was not until I spoke to his coworker, Rachel, that I got the truth. "Oh," she sent me a text. "I am so sorry to tell you this, but Jorge's been lying to you. He's been seeing someone else on the weekends. I'm not sure what his plans are, but I thought you deserved to know." I felt like I would been punched in the gut. I could not breathe. All those weekends he said he was working late or out with friends. It was all a lie. I thought about all the times I doubted myself, all the times I felt like I was not good enough. It was a toxic cycle, and I was trapped. The revelation hit me like a tidal wave. He was planning to leave me for her on our wedding day. I could not believe it. I thought we were happy, or at least I thought we were working through our issues. As I sat on the couch, trying to process everything, I realized I had two choices. I could let him destroy me, or I could rise above. I chose the latter. I started packing my bags, quietly, with a sense of dignity I never knew I had. Jorge walked into the room, and I looked him straight in the eye. "I am leaving," I said, my voice firm. He tried to gaslight me, telling me I was overreacting, that I was just being paranoid again. But I knew what I knew. I had had proof. "You lied to me," I said, my voice shaking. "You lied to me for 6 months. You called me by the wrong name in your sleep. You're leaving me for someone else on our wedding day." He just shrugged, telling me I was being dramatic. I was not being dramatic. I was being honest. As I walked out of the apartment, I felt a sense of liberation wash over me. I was taking back control of my life, my finances, my future. I was no longer the woman he made me out to be, insecure, doubting, and weak. I was strong. I was resilient. And I was ready to start again. My mutual friend Emily was waiting for me outside, a look of concern on her face. "I am so sorry," she said, as I burst into tears. I had no idea. But I knew. I knew that I was not alone. I had friends who cared about me, who would stand by me, and I had myself. I had my own strength, my own resilience. As I looked back at the apartment, I knew I would never set foot in there again. I was closing that chapter of my life, and I was ready to start a new one. It wouldn't be easy, but I was ready to face whatever came next. I was ready to heal, to grow, and to find myself again. I was ready to learn to love myself, to trust myself. And as I walked away from that apartment, I knew I would be okay. I knew I would rise above the pain, the betrayal, and the heartache. I knew I would emerge stronger, wiser, and more in love with myself than I ever thought possible.